Today we're making 3 spring home projects, and most of my supplies came from the Dollar Tree. To make the carrot garland, we're going to be using 12 carrots. You'll need some natural and green twine. I'm using 5 of these little white flowers. You'll need some green and yellow paint, some type of centers for the flowers. I'm going to paint these little clear buttons. And lastly, you'll need a paper bag. I cut a 4-inch piece of cardboard and then wrapped my green twine around it 12 times. I cut both ends free and then tied an additional piece around the center. You'll have a little bundle, put a dab of hot glue in the center and then press it together. Remove the top from the carrot and then glue on your bundle. I put a little hot glue on the inside of the carrot and then just press them together. Once my cat Emmeline, who likes to help me craft, decided to move off the fabric, I then cut 12 6-inch pieces of this green gingham. I'm making a bow for each pair of carrots. Once done, I simply glued them on. I removed 5 flower tops from the stem. I then removed all the little centers. I painted these clear plastic buttons with some yellow paint. I'm using a paper bag to make some leaves for the flowers. I cut some small pieces from the bag, then I cut some random sized discs. I was originally going to use the leaves from the flowers, but they just seemed kind of big to me. I had made these leaves before for one of my other projects, which if you want to check it out, I'll link it above, and so I thought they would work perfectly for these little flowers. I used my green paint and painted both sides. After both sides are painted and the leaf is still wet, fold it in half, leaving a slight crease. Once it dries, it'll actually resemble a real leaf. To attach them, I placed a little dab of glue on one end and then just pressed them together. I placed some hot glue on the back of the flower and pressed it onto the leaves. I then hot glued the button right in the center. I cut 7 feet of twine. I'm measuring 12 inches of jute from the end and then hot gluing my carrots on the 12-inch mark. Once I glued the front, I then glued the back. I then measured 6 inches from the back of the carrots and added my flower. I continued repeating the pattern every 6 inches until they were all attached. I made a loop in the jute on each end, then cut 2 longer strips in the gingham fabric, made a simple bow, and attached them to each loop. Your Carrot Daisy Garland is ready to hang. For this project, you'll need one of the glass candlestick holders. I'm using this glass jar as the topper. It kind of reminds me of a hurricane lamp. To light the center, you'll need some type of little votive candle, and I'm using this LED one I found at the Dollar Tree. I'm using a neutral color, so I'm spraying my base white. This pretty blue and white polka dot ribbon says spring to me. You'll need some E6000 to attach the 2 pieces. I'm using these pretty pastel M&Ms, but you can use anything you'd like as a filler. This is such an easy project. You're just going to spray the base of the candlestick with your spray paint. Once the base is dry, we're going to attach the globe with some E6000. Once the glue was applied, I centered the glass globe on the top. I added a piece of the ribbon around the top edge of the LED candle. I added a piece of ribbon around the base. I made a simple bow by using one 6-inch and one 8-inch length of ribbon. I fold my ribbon in half and then hot glue each end into the center. I did this for both ribbons and then attached the smaller ribbon to the larger ribbon. I wrapped a smaller piece of ribbon around the center just to give it a finished look. Once I was done, I glued it to the front of the candlestick. I placed the LED candle inside and then added some of my pastel M&Ms. Our last project is this pretty spring standing bouquet. I'm using an 11.8-inch foam cone that I had on hand. You'll need approximately 150 of the wooden skewers. I'm using the white flowers from my first project, some yellow, and some smaller filler flowers. For my bow, I'm using this pretty 2.5-inch yellow polka dot ribbon that I had on hand. You'll also need some yellow and white acrylic paint. We're going to cover the base with the wooden skewers. Make sure the flat part of the skewer is on the bottom and the pointy part on the top. Try to keep them as straight as possible, and if you notice that they're starting to go at an angle, just kind of move the form around and start in a different section. You'll fill the top up much quicker than the bottom because it's a smaller space. Continue gluing the skewers in the triangular pattern, filling up the open space. You'll have wooden pieces hanging over the edge, but not to worry, we'll clip those off when we're done. I found some little openings here and there, so I snapped off some smaller pieces and then glued them into place. When you're done, cut the overhanging wood skewers off with your clippers. If you have any rough edges, use a piece of sandpaper and just gently rub them away. Once it's all smoothed down, we're now going to give it a coat of white paint. While that's drying, I'm painting 20 skewers white and 25 of them yellow. Once they're dry, it's time to attach them to the cone. I'm going to evenly space them, but this time I'm only attaching them at the top. I'm starting with yellow, and once again, you're going to try to keep them as straight as possible. Now with the yellow attached, it's time to attach the white. I'm gluing the white ones here and there between the yellows. When you're done, you'll have a floating pattern. Now let's add the flowers. I clipped away each stem from its bunch. With the flowers all cut, we're now going to make a little arrangement at the top of the cone. I added the white flowers first and just let them kind of drape over the edges. I then added the yellow flowers, placing them at different heights. I then used the filler flowers to fill in all the open spaces. And to finish up, let's add the bow. I cut a piece of ribbon and wrapped it around the back part of the arrangement. I made sure it was high enough in the back, and then I tied the two tails and hot glued them into place. I made two bows with my polka dot ribbon exactly the same way as I made them for the candle. I once again cut a smaller piece of ribbon and added it to the center. To finish up the project, I hot glued the bow into place. I hope you had fun hanging out with me and making these projects. If you're new and you haven't yet subscribed, don't forget to click that little red subscribe button below. I'll see you all very soon. Bye everybody!